Hi, Shalom everyone. I am so glad that you have joined me for the new episode of All Things El. My name is Elena. It's not all about me. It's really all about Him. The one true God El is in El Shaddai El Elyon. Today in this episode, I am going to show you something really neat about the Chinese language that I am exploring, and I'm finding out there are some hidden messages within the Chinese language of the Bible. And I discovered this book several years ago called The Discovery of Genesis, how the truths of Genesis were found hidden in the Chinese language. So I want to show you some of the words I found in this book. But before we do that, I wanted to just show you some basics of the Chinese language that is a pictographic language, just like Hebrew. So we're going to go over some of the similarities of those two, which will make you think, maybe at one point our ancestors were some of the people at the Tower of Babel, and they knew about the creation story, and they knew about the Noah's worldwide flood. And stay tuned. Let's get started. So I wanted to show you the Chinese words through calligraphy. So this is my little calligraphy set in a bamboo holder, and I've had this for many years. When I was probably around 13 or 14, my mother had a friend who was an incredible painter in Chinese paintings, and she showed me some really cool techniques of painting pandas and bamboo shoots, trees, that kind of thing. And so this was the brush. This is the brush that she gave me. It's been a long time since I used it. And some of the other brushes, let's see, she gave me some precious brushes. Maybe I need to get started, start back to paint, because in Chinese calligraphy, we always use black ink. But in painting flowers and bamboo, sometimes we would use color. So that was the first time I was introduced to Chinese painting, which is kind of like if you've ever been to those painting workshops where you go with friends, kind of BYOB, and they tell you to draw a circle here and a triangle there. Very similar, that the paintings are broken down into very simple forms that makes you think, I could really do this. So here are some of the other brushes that I had. And growing up, Chinese calligraphy was part of life in school. And every week we had to write the larger characters in big blocks. And so this is the kind of paper we would use, very thin. And we would use the whole big square. And there are different strokes that we have to know which stroke to do first, and second, there is an order of writing a Chinese character. And also there are small little blocks, like for example, we might use the small ones to write each word, and to practice Chinese calligraphy, writing an entire chapter or a poem. So we would practice that every week, I think in elementary school. And then we got busy and we didn't have to do it anymore in high school. So I'm gonna show you some of the words that is really cool in the Chinese language. And then we'll go into the Bible messages, okay? And, I wanna show you this set. This is really cool, and my mother's friend gave me. And this is the holder, and would roll this thing up like a sushi roll, and voila, then this is how we keep the brushes. And of course, it's been a long time, so we're going to explore this together. So here's my little setup, and now I've got newspaper laid down here, and the ink that is from the bottle. And in the old times, they would have a block of ink, and I used to have a little block of ink, and what they would do is, so for example, there would be a tray, and they would rub that ink onto a little bit of water and create that ink. But of course, ink out of the bottle is a lot more convenient. Now this is what I have, and it stains really bad, so I forgot. I almost got my hands all black. Now the first one I want to show you, I'm going to show you some basis of the Chinese language that is pictorial or pictographic, right? And so a person, you know, I'm going to draw a little person here, like a stick figure would be like this. And in Chinese, ran or yan in Cantonese is this. Exactly. Okay, something like that. If you're very good at Chinese photography, that might be a horrible job, but this is what a person looks like. And now big is basically da, and da. It's really big. You know, it's like a person telling you something really big, and with the arms wide spread out to show you something really big. And so this is how we properly write big. And the 9 squares is to tell you the proportion of where each part of the word would go, okay? And the sky, tian or teen in Cantonese would be this. Something over a person, right, in the sky. Now, a girl in the old days would be a person. I'm going to give her some hair here. And a lady or female, what they would do is they would do a lot of weaving of embroidery or something like that. And so you see how she would have her legs crossed. And so over here, I'm going to write female. In Mandarin is nu. In Cantonese, which is the language we speak, the dialect we speak in Hong Kong, is lo. So when you go to a Chinese restaurant, you might see this word for the women's restroom. Isn't that pretty? So, like I said, it's been years since I've done calligraphy, but that is what nu or lo looks like, female. Now, a male, let me show you. This looks like a rice field, doesn't it? So, for a male is in Mandarin is nan, or Cantonese is lam. And this is someone on the field that works with a lot of his strength. That's a male. This is strength. Someone work a lot of strength on the field. And This is the I. Okay. In Hebrew, the I is this. Ayin is the Hebrew letter. And in Chinese, I'll show you what it looks like. Chinese, it's a radical. A radical is like a part of a word that if you see in Mandarin, it would say mu. And in Cantonese is mo. Doesn't this look like an I, kind of sideways? And so it's really interesting because Chinese is made up of the character. And the part right here, it is a radical that tells you either the meaning or the phonetic, that's the sound of the word. So this mu or mo in Cantonese, it means something to do with your eye. And therefore, I have this word, the actual word for eye is this one. Yan in Mandarin, and in Cantonese is ngan. And isn't that beautiful? You're not supposed to go outside that square, so it gives you the proportion where the word's supposed to be written like. And so therefore, we would not have this mu written like this if that's the word that we're writing, because that would be disproportioned for the whole square. So it keeps all the words in order. Now, how about this word that has the I in it? And now this part is mong in Mandarin or Cantonese, like we speak in Hong Kong, is mong. It means lost. And this part means the eye. If you lost your eyesight, you're blind. So that word means blind. Okay? And this is fascinating. I'm just really enjoying finding the connections between Chinese and Hebrew. Now, we're gonna stick to the eye vision, right? So this is the eye part. And this part is the phonetic as well as the semantic, I think. Semantic. So it's the meaning. That means a nail. Ding, or Mandarin in Cantonese is ding. So it means a nail. A nail, the eye, when you stare at someone like you're putting a nail in something, you're staring. So this is what that word means. And also in Hebrew, the letter Zayin, written like this in Hebrew. This is the letter Zayin. And it also means a nail or a hook or something. Isn't that wonderful? I just love finding these things between two of my favorite languages. Now, look at this. In a picture, what does it remind you of? That reminded me of water, doesn't it? So this is how we write water. Watch this. And you're supposed to start with the middle part, and there's an order in it. So you can't start on the left side. You just know these things when you're growing up learning Chinese, and you're not supposed to go back and go over it. That's water, 水 in Mandarin, or 水 in Cantonese. Now, the radical, that means when a word has to do with water, the radical looks like this. Is okay? So therefore, I'm going to show you this part is the phonetic part of the word that sounds like he, ke, or in Cantonese, ha. Together makes he, ha, means river. Okay, now let me give you another one. This also has to do with water. And each one of these strokes has a name as well. And I've got a puppy here. That's what you're hearing. And we got more water drops. That means the ocean or the sea, okay? So let's move over here. Now, this is really interesting. So we already know that water looks like this, or that looks like water. I'm going to show you this word here. That looks like a stream or a lot of water, doesn't it? And then I'm going to have this word here. And this word here looks like, I'm going to draw a picture for you for this word right here. What does it look like to you? Doesn't look like fire? Well, that is fire. With a lot of water, fire is kind of like a disaster, doesn't it? So this word means disaster or catastrophe. Now, how about this? When you see this radical in a Chinese character, that means it has to do with plants, okay? So we have this as Hua in Mandarin or Fa in Cantonese. That's the flower. Now you're learning Chinese. When you see words, you're like, oh, I know what that might mean. Now, again, we're gonna stick to the flower radical. And, oh, sorry. I was doing the flower again. And this means grass, and it is chou in Cantonese, okay? So I'm showing you the basics of some of the Chinese words. There's over 200 radicals like these, and thousands and thousands of Chinese characters. And I think we only use several thousand in everyday life. There's so many words that we don't normally use. Now, I'm going to show you this one. It means a tree. Something to do with wood, okay? So, look at this. If I have, when it's a radical, it's changed a little bit, the look. This means a forest, okay? Now, when I'm gonna show you, here's the forest, right? What if we have three of these trees? We will end it right here today because we don't want to make it too long of a video, but we will continue to explore more of the hidden Bible messages in the Chinese languages, and I hope that you have enjoyed our time with Chinese calligraphy and some of the basics and the pictorial parts of the Chinese characters. And here is a photo that I have found that I shared with you earlier, the first time that I learned to do Chinese painting, and the brushes that I have been given from that time that I still have. Well, we will see you next time.